I want you to imagine yourself as a boy that grew up without a father figure in the household, a boy who had very little male guidance in his life in general, a boy who grew up to be timid and a people pleaser because he never learned how to assert himself, a boy who struggled to make friends as he got older because he wasn't confident in his communicational skills, a boy who faced rejection many times from countless girls, all because they thought that he was sweet and he was too nice. Throughout this boy's life, he's constantly told that the only thing that he needs to be is nice, obedient, and respectful, and that basically being a man is toxic. What I just described to you was me, myself. That boy was me. And what you'll find is that a lot of guys in this community that we often refer to as the red pill have a very similar story, if not the same exact story.
What the fuck is a righteous glory?
If you've seen the channel name before, then you already know who I am. First of all, if you enjoyed that anecdotal, please be sure to like this video and consider subscribing because I know a lot of you were able to resonate with that story. I remember when I first discovered the red pill community. I was about 16. I learned so much. I learned about female nature, about hypergamy, about masculine frame. I learned so many things that were so foreign to me at a point. In learning these things, I was so furious. Furious because I felt that I was lied to my whole life. My whole life, the only thing that I was ever told was to be myself, was to be nice, was to be respectful, and eventually the right girl would come. Eventually the right opportunities would come, and eventually I would find the right friends. But what I wasn't taught was how to be a man. And I know for a fact that I wasn't the only one that was angry when they found out this information. When I first received this information, I shifted gears and I switched into what I like to refer to as my inner asshole. I developed this persona of masculinity and moved in that for so long, but when shit hit the fan, it cracked. And the old me seeped through. What I've noticed is that the red pill community and even the nofap and semen retention communities are places that men go after traumatic experiences. These are the groups that men typically go to recover. They need a place to be able to vent and share their sentiments and give their story, hear other people's stories, and be motivated to want to improve themselves. A lot of them want nothing more than to succeed, and this manifests itself in a lot of different ways. But let's address the points that most people bring up when talking about the red pill community. A lot of people from the outside looking in will look at it and say it's a bunch of bitter men that are woman haters. And do those type of men exist within the community? Most definitely. No matter how you feel about the community itself, you cannot deny the principle and the value that the red pill brings. Learning and understanding how the world works, and more importantly how he works, is something that every man must go through, and the red pill definitely teaches that to some extent. The problem is a lot of men, including myself, come into this red pill thinking that it's all about women. We become obsessed with the ideology of getting more women, of getting what we never had at one point. Some of them even completely ignore the self-improvement process and try and skip over to game. How to get in bed with more women, how to have more women around you, how to get more choosing signals. They worry about all the wrong things. But the reason why this obsession develops is because of all that hurt, all that pain, all that trauma. And one can look at it and say, get over it, deal with it. That's what men have been told their whole lives. So now when they hop in these communities and that hurt is coming out to the open and people are still telling them to deal with it, that's just gonna make them even more mad. And honestly, going through those negative experiences and emotions is what's gonna take you to the next step majority of the time. See, a lot of guys come into this community looking for guidance. I myself happen to be a little luckier. I encountered a mentor that helped me heal from the hurt, and really he held me accountable to face my fears, face my problems, and make sure that I was confronting myself. I was a lucky one. A lot of these men lack guidance, so they look to all these different dating coaches for that guidance. They just want to know how to be a man. But with all that being said, there's some things that we do have to stop. The first one being that all women are enemies. A lot of people think with this philosophy that all of a sudden all women are suddenly enemies and that you need to stay away from every single one of them. The only time you should indulge and hang around with a woman is when you're having sex with her, which is actually really counterproductive when you think about it. If all you're doing with a woman is having sex with her, then what value is she actually giving to you? Because in my book, she's really just taken away. And the second thing, to those people that's looking from the outside in, the red pill itself is not toxic. The red pill as a philosophy has a lot of value and has a lot of great gems and principles that a lot of men need to start applying to their lives. I 100% condone any man going through that phase, especially if you're a little damaged. It's what you got to do sometimes. I would agree with most people in saying that there's a lot of bullshit and fuckery nowadays. And a lot of women definitely consume that fuckery. But the only reason they've been able to do that for so long is because a lot of men have fallen from grace. A lot of men are not men anymore. A lot of men lack the guidance, the tenacity, the willpower to step into that leadership role, and most importantly, that accountability. The accountability to look in the mirror and say, you know what, I am flawed. You know what, there is a problem with me. You know what, I need to start working on things so that I can attract better situations, better outcomes, and better women, because that's what we all want, right? And it's hard as especially if you're surrounded with all that negative energy. All you see is negative women. All you see is people like fucking Saweetie and Quavo and all this bullshit about Birkin bags and how if you don't buy a Birkin bag, you're not a fucking real man. All you see is a bunch of 300-pound single mothers with 5 kids calling into Kevin Samuels shows talking about how they want a high-value man that makes over 7 figures. A lot of the time, you might just think to yourself, why can't the world take me for what I am? To that, I have this question. If from this point forward, you were given everything, the woman that you want, the success, the money, the job, how satisfied do you think you would be, and for how long? Because putting in that work, putting in that effort, putting out that time, that pain, and being disciplined and being focused on what's important, your purpose and your discovery of self, and doing all those things, everything that you receive from that, all the fruit that you harvest from those seeds that you planted will be 100% more worthwhile. I am not at all condoning the behavior of a lot of these modern women, from selling fucking bathwater to having an OnlyFans account to pay some extra bills. I mean, hey, it is what it is. They can do what they want. I don't care. I'm also not condoning the behavior of those fake alpha males that spend 23 hours of their lives arguing with people on the internet about how enlightened they are. Everything is a process, and for a lot of men nowadays, that process is a red pill. That process is no fap. That process is semen retention. Sometimes you are resentful, sometimes you are a little bitter, sometimes you are angry, sometimes you are frustrated. That's fine to feel. Don't feel like it isn't. But don't stay there either. I want more men to start improving with the intention of healing and bettering themselves above everything else. I want your priority from now on not to be the woman, not to be the money or the success, but the discovery and the finding of yourself. And to end this video on a good note, and to also hold you guys accountable, stop running from your feelings, stop running from your problems, and stop running from yourself. Find yourself throughout this journey, and don't stay in that place of hurt forever. And don't let anyone tell you that being masculine is toxic. That's propaganda. Fuck those Nazis.